I mean, that's really what it is. It's an ideological battle, and in that sense, veganism becomes very much like a religion because you like.
So let's go again. Is veganism a religion?
No, it is not. As mentioned previously, religions, the way I look at it, religions require faith, right? There's no actual evidence, right? You believe in whatever God you find most compelling or you believe in, but it's all faith-based. With veganism, well, I'll let you say what you said, but with veganism, whether you believe in it or not, the moral arguments for veganism still stand, and the nutritional science we have in support of plant-based diets still stand. So you could have faith in them, you could not, you can say that the government's out to get you, and that's why they're pushing these studies. But at the end of the day, the science is the science. So yeah, it's not a religion at all.
And yeah, the point I made last time is that there's a lot of overlap between things people do in religions, such as reading books. So I like to read books. Harry Potter doesn't mean that I'm religious. Same thing in religious people. A lot of religions, they have sacrifices for animals. Doesn't mean all meat eaters are religious.
And you mentioned that there's no God. So that's a big, there is no, I mean, some people maybe look at like Dr. Greger as a God or something. But I think most people, there's no God. There's no like leader to look up to, thankfully. I'm not a fan of gods or leaders, so.
Yeah, and Dr. Greger, he's more promoting plant-based nutrition. So I haven't really seen him promote much about ethics. And
that's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. And I brought that up in the Garth Davis and Sean Baker thing. I wish a lot of these really good nutritional scientists or doctors who do promote plant-based diets, I wish they did promote more of the ethics or the moral position of veganism. But I guess then it would be like a conflict. So I get it, but it would be cool to see them do that.
I think Dr. Nagra, he's very much into ethics. He tries to fit it in when he can. And on Twitter, there's Skeptical Doctor. But apart from that, there's not too many. Dr. Neil Barnard, apparently he is ethically vegan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Nagra's my boy. I'm a huge fan of Doc. He does not get enough support. I mean, he does get support, but I think he should be way bigger. He's a man.
Yeah, a lot of his content is sharing studies. And yeah, it's going to be a lot harder just sitting there in front of the screen sharing studies compared to, the more dramatic content you see online.
100%. Yeah, I mean, well, anything that's like really good to the point, like there's nothing wrong. There's like everything that's just straightforward to the point is not going to be as popular. Like his content is so straightforward, so to the point. He knows his stuff in and out. Like what are people, how much traction is he going to get for being like the man when it comes to nutrition,
But yeah, I've learned a lot from following his content. Highly recommend everyone to watch his reels, read the studies. It's a great exercise.
You support all the people that are on your side, and the people that are opposed to you are like.
So you support all the people on your side. That vegans are constantly getting into arguments with each other. This is what I've noticed.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. In fact, there's actually a surprising amount of like infighting because we're like very like debate oriented and like trying to find like have the most consistent argument, and there's just a lot of infighting for sure. It's constructive. I think it's constructive, but we don't just blindly support everybody.
And I welcome the debating, criticizing each other. If someone's giving out misinformation on nutrition, it's important that the movement becomes stronger and really evidence-based. So yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
like apostates. They're like the negative people that are trying to bring you to the dark side, to hell. It gets.
So most vegans were not vegan at some point. So when I actually feel it's better for vegans to interact with non-vegans, because this is my gut feeling that it'll be better for the movement rather than vegans isolating themselves. I feel it'll be much better to just do debates in a nice, controlled manner without any verbal abuse, just having it like in a nice discussion. Everyone has their own styles, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think the most important is that people just discuss, try and highlight the logical inconsistencies in people's minds, meat eaters' minds.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned before, it's my whole thing is centered around talking to the opposing side, right? Whether it's debates, whether it's street activism, whether it's reacting to the opposing side, like the whole point is we want people to change. And the only way to do that is to talk. We don't just shut everyone out who thinks differently than us. That's the opposite of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and Vegan Postmortem says compassion is the dark side. Got it. Yeah.
It gets really crazy. And there's a lot of evidence on their side in terms of like factory farming and the horrors of factory farming. And even
so, vegans are not just against factory farming; they're against all rights violations.
100%. Yeah, well,
I think he's. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, I find that a lot of these carnivore people, now that they're doing like the grass-fed thing, Joe Rogan is loaded. He's doing the grass-fed thing. They just like to pay lip service. They're like, oh, but vegans have a point with factory farming. So let's focus on that and don't even focus on the fact that I'm still paying for animals to be killed. Don't even focus on me. Just they really like to pay lip service to that, and it's not fooling me, buddy. It's not fooling me, Mr. Rogan.
The really incredibly poor modern American diet that they see. A lot of people, when they go vegan, what they're doing, one of the best things that they're doing is they're eliminating all the bullshit. They're eliminating all the trans fats and all the terrible shit that a lot of people eat that isn't vegan.
Yeah.
But
so I'll grant it might be true, it might be possible that some people might feel better if they eliminate junk food from their diet. So I've got nothing much to add there apart from the fact that people can feel better if they're having a really super caloric diet and then decide to eliminate this food and aim for more fiber and stuff such as this.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I said earlier is with the bad shit claim, it's like I think that is what gets people to have a poor relationship with food, right? Because his bad shit could be what he thinks is bad shit and what isn't actually bad. Like seed oils is a great example, right? In that bad shit claim, he might be including like canola oil. And so then people who want to be healthier, cut out or go vegan or plant-based, they'll undereat or they'll go raw or they'll eliminate a lot of foods that would otherwise be helpful for them to get the calories they need, get the nutrition they need. They'll cut that out, undereat, and then they'll feel like shit. But to them, they were cutting out all the bad shit, right? They were cutting out so I'm just sick of the vague language. Like, what bad shit? Could we go over what is actually evidence-backed bad shit? Like, what are we talking about? What's actually bad for your health that people should cut out? But otherwise, yeah, I mean, if you go whole food, plant-based, processed foods, ultra-processed foods, chips, cookies, yeah, that stuff is not good for you for sure.
And there's ultra-processed food is getting a bad rap. There was a recent report by Nicholas Carter for the Freedom Foods Alliance, and he's talking about a lot of the poor associations. They're driven by one or two subgroups of foods, such as sugar-sweetened beverages and processed meats, and these ones are driving the poorer outcomes. And the food, the animal exploitation industry, they're trying to lump in all products which are ultra-processed, because a lot of vegan products are ultra-processed, even though a lot of them are actually health-promoting, such as fortified soy yogurt or soy milk. So
yeah,
highly recommend that everyone here to have a read about this massive report that Nicholas Carter wrote.
And that's to even add to the point. Yeah, it's like now you can't even you can't even look at you can't just blanket all processed foods are bad, right? Based on what? Like technically red lentil pasta is processed, right? It's not whole lentils, right? They take the lentils, they turn it into pasta, but I'm sure because it's still I guess it would still be what are lentils? Legumes? Are they legumes or are they beans?
Legumes. Yeah.
It would still be a great source of legumes, high in fiber, high in protein. So just saying that something processed is bad is definitely I would say a mistake as well. So just sick of the vagueness. Let's get more specific, please.
Yeah. Protein shakes are ultra processed.
Right.
I'm sure Joe Rogan would be maybe drinking. Well, I'm not sure what Joe Rogan eats, but a lot of people who demonize ultra processed foods
They do
eat
whey
on
protein. Yeah,
processed
they
food.
drink protein powder and protein bars and all that stuff. Yeah.
And what I feel like when people make this claim, such as people eliminate when they go plant-based or plant-exclusive, plant-forward, they eliminate junk food. He's trying to hint that meat is actually a superfood.
Yeah. He's like, well, it's the one thing that vegans do right is they eliminate the junk food, but where they get it wrong is they take out the meat, the superfood that is beef tallow. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. And dose makes the poison with everything, but consistently in the literature, meat around like 100 grams plus per day is associated with negative health outcomes. So after adjusting for everything, such as energy intake, so
yeah, 100%.
The negative thing is most of them are eating diets that are far too carbohydrate rich. And if they're not getting their blood checked, they don't even know how unhealthy they are. They convince themselves they're doing much better and they're feeling much better. But a lack of cholesterol can.
Man.
I'll make a few points there. So I think blood checks are something I recommend. It's a very good way to check that everything's in the correct range. And he's going to talk about cholesterol being essential. And every cell in the body makes dietary cholesterol. And there's, I don't know if did he say anything else in that short segment, which I missed out?
Well, he said people are eating diets that are too rich in carbohydrates, but there's different type of carbs, right? Whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, they're high in carbohydrates. That doesn't mean that someone eating whole grains, fruits, and vegetables is going to get diabetes. That's such a misguided thing to say, right? If somebody was eating 400 grams of carbs of like chips and cookies, yeah, I'd probably say, hey, but it's because of what they're lacking. They're lacking fiber. They're lacking vitamins and minerals, right? They're lacking, beneficial compounds like antioxidants, polyphenols. It's not just the carbohydrates.
Yeah, context matters as well. Even in cases of, specific contexts, simple carbs have utility. Someone who needs more calories, or, if someone's in the North Pole.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
A trek. I was watching a video of someone who did a run across Scotland, and during the evenings he was just eating chips because he needed the calories. So everything has some context to it. But
that's a great point, and that's why, like, in the case of like ex-vegans, they cut out all of the everything other than raw fruits, vegetables. Maybe some grains, but usually it's just raw fruits and vegetables, thinking that they're benefiting their health. But what's better, right? Like what would be better? Getting enough calories, but having some of those calories come from like simple carbs, or eating in a deficit every single day until you're so like underweight that you get headaches and you don't have any energy to do anything. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, someone who feels like they might be too much on the food purist side, delving into the area where they're just obsessed with pure food, they might benefit from adding a bit of junk food here and there. It might just help their mental health.
100%. That's what happened to me. When I first went vegan, I was very like, okay, I never did raw, but I was very like, okay, I'm going to do no oil, or I'm going to do like, try and do whole foods as much as possible. And you lose weight, you drop weight immediately, because like eating brown rice and beans and then some almonds, right? Like it's not enough food. The only time I was able to get back to like a healthy weight once I started including like more cooked foods, more quick foods, like maybe a little more processed foods like breads, like certain things with oils, like olive oil, avocados, stuff with avocado oil. Like it's really important to get enough food. That's like the number one thing.
Yeah, enough calories. And yeah, I loved your point about the different types of carbohydrates, because whole grains are consistently associated with good health outcomes in the literature.
Yeah.
Reduced mortality, reduced cancer, basically every health outcome you find, more or less consistently, whole grains are associated with improved outcomes.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants us to quote a few studies or something like this, I have like a database of studies, so I can pull them up if anyone wants. But this is a live stream, so we won't be opening up papers for you guys unless someone asks.
Fuck with your hormone functions. A lot of vegans have low hormones because of that.
We one of our regulars at Antler.
No, that's not. Vegans don't have low hormones because of lack of cholesterol or too many carbs. It's because they're under eating. It's because they're like malnourished. He's talking about these raw vegans that don't eat enough food. don't get enough nutrients. They almost always don't supplement because they're, again, like you said, they're in like the purest mindset. So they're like, nope, I got to get it from raw fruits and vegetables. Well, you're not going to feel very good. It's just not going to give you enough food.
Yeah, and the studies which I've seen actually take groups of vegans as a whole and compare, for example, hormones such as testosterone. Vegans have, in some cases, higher
Total testosterone. Yeah, I saw that study, yeah.
So free testosterone, no significant difference, but total testosterone even higher in the vegans. And then, no, so on the population level, it doesn't seem that this claim by Joe Rogan is panning out. And every cell makes its own cholesterol. So even though cholesterol is, it's used in, the synthesis of steroid hormones, you don't need to eat cholesterol. And with a lot of people, they think that you need to eat cholesterol to also raise your cholesterol, and elevated cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, it's a risk factor for heart disease as well. But in general, in the literature, if you look, dietary cholesterol doesn't really raise LDL cholesterol too much. It's more the saturated fat which comes with the cholesterol. But both of them have an effect at increasing, cholesterol.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And vegan postmortem's asking what, all hormones, just low on hormones, which ones?
Right.
Yeah,
it's all
very
vague.
vague.
Yeah, and again, he always like there are videos, like you could find videos on YouTube of people being like, oh, I was vegan for 6 years, my hormones got messed up, whatever. But how many videos? We're talking 20, 30? That's not, those are just anecdotes, right? When we look at the actual research, you don't see that, right? Especially with vegan populations that are supplementing, that are eating enough food. You don't see that.
Yeah, and I agree with Bianca here saying that they only think about testosterone. Usually when they talk about hormones, they only really think about testosterone or estrogen.
Right. They're like, oh no, I need meat so I can have a higher testosterone. It's like, stop, dude. Like, why? I'm so sick of the gym stuff. I'm just sick of this like beef man culture, It's just really annoying.
Yeah, I have a friend who's like, I eat eggs in the morning to optimize my hormone profile.
Oh my God. That's just, I'm going to get my blood work done this year. I want to get like I want to get everything just so I could publish it. Cause I've been vegan almost 7 years. I haven't got my blood work done in a while, but I'm like sick of it. Most of the activism I do with like young boys, the first thing they ask, well, I got to bench. Oh, I got to bulk up for football. Oh, I got to do these things. It's like, just eat more. Eat enough protein, eat enough calories. You're fine. You don't have to eat beef or steak or whatever you're eating.
And Pigstream says Joe is on testosterone replacement therapy.
I
don't know if it's true, but
no, it is. He's talked about it. That's the most ironic part is somebody who is on a carnivore diet but is also on TRT. You can't really accurately say what your diet is doing to your health, even from an anecdotal standpoint, because you have so many other factors, right? If you're taking hormone replacement therapy and then you go on the carnivore diet, even let's just say, right, the carnivore diet reduced his testosterone or gave him a negative health outcome. He's on TRT. So he's not going to notice that, right? He doesn't care. He's all steroided up, jacked out of his mind. Who cares?
Andrew Huberman is another one who I saw somewhere on Reddit that apparently he's also on TRT, and yeah, he's another one who I've got a video of him talking about how he puts butter in his coffee because he thinks dietary cholesterol is essential for optimal hormone or whatever.
Right. Based on what? That's the thing. Like if that were the case, we'd be able to see like a consistent association with like low cholesterol and like poor hormone. But we don't. I've never seen a study. I wish if they have any research, I'd love to see it. That's the thing is I'm not like cherry picking. Please show me all the research you have. And they don't. Nobody shows anything.
Here we've got Vegan Power Lab lurking while biking. Hey, awesome people.
Hello. Hey, Chip. How's it going?
I saw his stream yesterday with Dinesh. He's another great vegan activist.
I watched it a little bit. Yeah, I didn't finish it, but it was good. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Dinesh, but he was great. Yeah, I agree.
I met him at Vegan Camp Out, and he's a very hard worker. He spent the whole of Vegan Camp Out just walking around with his camera.
Wow. So Vegan Camp Out's a European thing, right? It's in Europe?
It's in in England.
In England, okay.
In Oxford, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I would like to go one day. I just they don't really have any of that over here. We have like Veg Fest, but Vegan Camp Out sounds way cooler. But yeah, I would like to make
You-
that trip one day.
You should, yeah. And apparently there's one in Australia now. This year was the first one.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
So I don't know. Australia's probably a bit further away from you.
Oh yeah, way out of my budget. Yeah, not happening anytime soon. But the UK, the England, I'll go to.
Yeah. So Bianca says, if their diet gives them optimal hormone levels, then why do they supplement testosterone?
That is a great question.
Was talking to me about his experience. He used to have a organic vegetable farm, and he's a 6'7", big, huge, tall Dutch white guy. And he goes to me, he says, I was vegan for a long time. I had this organic vegetable farm, and I thought that I was doing my body a service. I thought I was doing something great for my body. And he got really sick, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, listen, man, you have to take supplements to supplement the things you're not getting from eating meat, or you have to go back to eating meat, because just some people's bodies do better than others. He said a lot of Asian cultures are more susceptible to vegetable diets, but he's like, in reality, he's like, you're a Northern European, descent, and you need to eat, this stuff to be healthy. And that's when he went back to eating meat. And it doesn't matter, what.
I just first of all, I don't know how accurate that story is. I don't even know 6'7" Dutch friend that he has, but even if it's completely accurate, what I like about that story is the doctor gave him an option. He said, hey, you can either take probably a multivitamin, right? He's like, hey, you could either take a multivitamin or go back to eating animal flesh. So there was an option. That's the thing, is these people, they act as if there's no alternative, but he was, even in this story, he was given an alternative. Just take a multivitamin. I don't get it. And also, you can't just eat vegetables. If you're just eating vegetables. Yeah, go Patrick.
So one organic cucumber per week, for example. We don't know what he was eating and what quantity.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of people, they assume organic is somehow the elixir to life, when it matters what protein your protein requirements. If you're reaching your energy requirements, a bowl of salad, for example, is not what vegans eat. But these people have this idea that, actor Anthony Chaffee, he thought, for example, that only eating broccoli or spinach is, something that vegans promote, or people following plant-based diets.
Yeah, no, it's like, did he, like you said, did he pick a cucumber, tomato, some spinach, and just eat that for breakfast? Was he only eating out of his vegetable garden? What was his diet? That's the other thing, is from the ex-vegan videos I've seen, they either don't say what they were eating, or if they do, they almost always say, I was eating raw. Almost always, I was eating raw vegetables. I was juicing, almost always. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that? I understand why, but it's just, that story is just comical that this guy gave.
Now they have this idea that juices, and there was, what was it, Liam Hemsworth, or I think it was Liam Hemsworth. He was just having juices all day, free juices or something along these lines, and then he had some problems, and so these people don't seem to be able to have some sort of normal diet, really.
Yeah. Patrick, how long have you been vegan, if you don't mind me asking?
So first I eliminated animal products from my diet during COVID.
Okay.
And then during COVID, I was in Vietnam, and I was visiting lots of Buddhist temples, and they have vegan food, and it was really good. Because back in the day, I never used to like animal products, which I could sort of see was an animal before anyway. I was more into chicken nuggets and fish fingers.
Yeah, processed. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So my grandma's chicken soup, I hated it because you could see the bones and stuff.
Yeah, the wing with the bone. Yeah, no, me too. My mom used to make this chicken soup where she put a boiled chicken leg or something with the bone, and it always freaked me out. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so during in my time in Vietnam, I eliminated animal products, and then during 2022, I discovered the ethical arguments. I was watching a video by Lifting Vegan Logic, and so someone in the Reddit forum that wrote something like Lifting Vegan Logic is deteriorating.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I checked out his video, and it's like, it doesn't seem to be deteriorating. And then he showed a photo of some cows being upside down. He's got the same photo that he shows quite a lot in his videos, and And then in that moment, the switch flicked in my head.
Yeah, no, that's
So then-
awesome. Yeah, the reason why I asked how long is because I was gonna say like I went vegan in 2017, right? And around that time, Freely the Banana Girl and Durian Rider were huge. Like around like, you know, in like the mid 2000s, 2010s. I remember like that's the vegan content that there was. And what did they do? They ate nothing but fruit all day. They did a lot of juices. They talked about, they never discussed healthy fats, whole grains. It was all fruits, all juices. And I think that's what a lot of like plant-based eating was at the start of like social media, you know, of like at the start of like YouTube and activism. It was a lot of like raw food promotion. So I remember seeing that, but then I saw Vegan Gains being like, don't do that. They're stupid. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll trust this guy. Cause he actually cited evidence. But yeah, I think like now is a great time to get into like plant-based nutrition and vegan content. Cause it's definitely more balanced, I would say.
And yeah, I completely agree. And back to answer your question, in terms of, I probably ate something which is compatible with a vegan diet since COVID. And then since 2022, I've actually been, you know, vegan ethically orientated.
Yeah. Okay, nice, man. That's awesome. That is great. Yeah, I wouldn't say like I align with veganism, but I don't think probably for the first couple years I wasn't in like the right. You know, I was still kind of figuring it out, if that makes sense. I didn't eat anything non-vegan, but I was not like fully like vegan, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a shame. If I discovered more vegan nutritionists who also talked more about ethics, I would have became vegan earlier, because there's a lot of sort of vegan, plant-based sort of people who promote the nutritional side too much. So they'll say, for example, if you have like one bite of meat per year, you'll get cancer, stuff like this.
Yeah.
So this sort of pushed me away because they weren't talking about ethics.
And also, like, that's the thing, is so important, I think, to be like reasonable based on the evidence, right? Saying that you're going to get cancer if you have one bite of an animal product, that's just not reasonable. And that's not like true. That's just not likely based on the reason, right? You know, like, so I think it's, you know, I don't think we should use nutrition as like, what's the word? It's like I feel like a lot of people use nutrition to try and make an ethical argument, if that makes sense. Like, instead of them talking about the moral position, they will make exaggerated nutrition claims to like get people to stay away from animal products. What would be better is if we stuck to the evidence when it comes to nutrition, and then also just talked about the ethics and morality and all, you know, all of these things. So yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure if I've actually seen someone say that one bite per year argument, but one bite per year claim. But I was just
Yeah. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure.
And yeah, I feel like it's great that there's people talking about plant-based nutrition, but I'm still not too sure if, yeah, I think the outrageous claims, they might be doing more harm than good. It's my gut feeling, but yeah. If I just had someone tell me, for example, you know, you can be healthy without eating plants, you know, I mean, without eating animal products, it would have been much more, for me, a more compelling reason that you can be healthy without having to support the whole animal exploitation industry.
And that's such a great point, because all of these like carnivore videos that are saying like, oh, carnivore diet did this, carnivore diet did that. I don't even care if that's true, right? Like it's definitely, a lot of it is not backed by science, or if not all of it. But at the end of the day, I don't even care if that's true or not. All I care about is, can you achieve similar results, or can you be healthy on a plant-based diet? Because if you could be healthy on both, let's say, right? Why would you choose the carnivore diet when you can choose a diet that aligns with your values or is more like morally consistent? You know, that's really what it comes down to. I don't even care. Like, the only thing I care about is when they make claims about plant-based diets. That's the real one that I'm like, okay, you got to provide evidence. But you know, that's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think as long as you can get the same sort of life expectancy and not sort of, you know, well, even if theoretically there was an example where like I would have liked to think that even if in a world where it wasn't possible to survive without eating animal products, I would still do it because I understood the ethical case so much that, you know.
Yeah, no,
you know,
it's a tough question. Like when people ask, if you're on an island and you're starving, would you kill an animal? Like in the moment, because of my like desire to live and my selfishness, I might, you know, but I would like to think that I would do everything I can and really like stick to the moral principle of veganism and not do that, you know, but it gets tricky. Yeah, I agree though.
So if you were on an island, would you only do that after you've gone crazy, or would you do it before you've gone crazy?
No, that would be like the last resort. I just couldn't. Like if there was a cow there, like if there's say there was a big cow and I can't kill anyone. I just can't do it. You know, like, or I like to think I can't, you know, maybe there's a side of me I don't know, but I feel bad for harming anyone. So for me, like that would be absolute last resort. And even then, like I might just end up dying next to the cow, you know?
So then basically you've sort of gone crazy. So you've lost your sense of moral agency.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd have to be like delusional or something. Yeah.
What you're trying, like he was living on an organic vegetable farm. Like what more healthy, you know, vegetables could he be eating? So
Yeah, B12 is a big one.
So yeah, just back to the same point. If someone's just eating one organic cucumber per year, like actually organic, the health outcomes are pretty disappointing because organic still sprayed with pesticide as well. And just the fact of eating vegetables is health promoting, but it's not what you should only be eating.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Like that's just a really bad argument. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think vegans, it might be a more ethical choice actually to choose non-organic food, because I think I've heard that organic might use animal-based fertilizer.
Oh,
I don't know
interesting.
if you know about. So Dr. Avi, he's got a video about this somewhere where he talks about vegans should choose the non-organic option because the health outcomes are basically the same, because fruit and vegetable, you're getting fiber and everything, and you're not, you know, some potentially supporting animal-based fertilizer. So
Yeah, man, I think people, it's human nature to just like overcomplicate things and overthink things. Like I just buy the food. I go to the store, I get the foods I enjoy. I try and get the healthier options based on research, you know, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and that's it. You know, like you don't have to buy everything organic. You don't have to overthink every little additive. And, you know, like I think it's good to know what's in your food, but I think people really overthink things, which like you said, sometimes, well, you said it in a different context, but I think in this context, it does do more harm than good. You know, overthinking every little ingredient is just going to drive you crazy.
Vegan Power Lab says organic pesticide is way worse for the bugs. Also, I'll be interested if anyone has some papers on this. Yeah, I'll be interested in reading. Always open. I'm not aware of this personally, but
yeah, I've never looked into it, but that would be interesting to see. Yeah.
And there's new types of farming such as veganic, making some sort of movement. But I'm also for vertical farming as well, indoors.
Mm-hmm.
So as I understand, I think veganic is outside, and I think indoor farming could even be better for insects and other more smaller sentient beings.
Probably, yeah.
And B12 essentially only comes from things other than vegetables. You can get some of it from algae. You definitely can get it from meat. It's rich in meat. And the other thing is iron.
So I'd like to add that vegans, if they supplement B12, they can have better B12 status than meat eaters. There's a randomized controlled trial using fortified cereal, and there was vegan babies from like 6 months up to 18 years, and there was one group fed fortified cereal, one fed meat, and the last group fed just normal cereal, and the babies had fortified cereal. They had the highest B12 status. And there's also I'm coming more and more across studies where vegans, they have higher B12 status than meat eaters. So just take a supplement and don't fund a bloodbath.
Dude, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like And what's so funny is like we accept modern solutions for literally everything else, right? You're born with a condition where you can't produce something. Oh, guess what? Here's a medication. Done. What if that person was like, no, you're meant to produce this naturally, so I'm just going to go without it. It's like that we have a solution for you to where you can still live a healthy life with a pill. Just take the pill. Take a supplement. Takes 2 seconds. And also, again, Joe Rogan, he sounds like somebody who has no idea what he's talking about. He just sounds like he might even if he was saying everything right, he sounds like he's giving me no confidence in his claims at all. He's like, I think you could get it from algae, but you could definitely get it from meat. You could definitely get it from meat. It's like, okay, thank you, Joe.
And animals are also frequently supplemented with B12. So, and as it comes from, as Pigstream here says, B12 is from bacteria, not algae. And there's algae, the evidence is a little bit mixed, but they have a lot of B12 analogs. So a lot of people, they think you can supplement with algae, but the B12, it's a different structure, as I've heard, and it can interfere with the B12 absorption. So from what I know, it's better to just take a supplement.
And there's so many fortified foods nowadays. Like, there's nutritional yeast, which is often fortified with B12. There's I drink soy milk, which is fortified with B12. There's cereals, there's yogurts, there's so many things. You eat a couple of those a day. Like I drink soy milk every day. I eat nutritional yeast every day. That's a ton of B12 just in the fortified foods. Like you'd really have to, it's almost like you'd have to eat nothing but organic vegetables to be deficient in B12 nowadays. Like what the guy was saying in the video. So yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, and I take a B12 supplement, but I'm not really sure if I need it because I also have probably 3 servings of B12 fortified foods per day, such as soy yogurt and soy milk. And I don't know, it's more like a extra contingency plan just in case.
Yeah.
But I had my blood test and my B12 levels are okay. And as long as you're having a supplement or 3 fortified food servings per day, you'll be okay. And the amount of B12 you need is really small. They make it seem like it's some massive problem.
Yeah, no, and vegan lift and logic. I don't know if you saw his video that he did where I think it was Anthony Chafee or somebody who said that B12 supplements can like be poisonous, right, at this dose. And Lifting Vegan Logic showed the dose that it would be poisonous. It was like 300 capsules a day or something. It's like, who's eating that much B12? You just need 1. Like, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it was Gary Brecker.
Oh, okay.
He's I had to on Instagram, he kept on popping up in my feed section. So I had to put in a keyword to block his name because he's just on every podcast and this stuff really frustrates me. And he's constantly getting debunked, Gary Brecker. And then he was fear-mongering about the cyanide in B12 tablets. And
that's what it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, the cyanide, yeah.
And the dose makes the poison. And he also, does he sell almonds or there was something at the end, towards the end of the video, but
almonds. Yeah. A lot of people say like, oh, almonds have cyanide, but it's like, you'd have to eat like 3, what is it? Like multiple pounds of almonds at once, which nobody does.
But he was an investor, Gary Brecker. He was fear-mongering about B12, cyanide in, cyanocobalamin and B12. And then he had some sort of company, he was investing in some sort of company which does something with our almonds, which have a higher dose in cyanide than the B12 tablets. So even though both are like, dose makes the poison, but it's just conflicts of interest.
That's just the best. Isn't that the best? Or like, my favorite is when you have like a gym bro who's promoting like animal products, but then they have like a vegan protein powder. It happens all the they're like, and guess what? This powder is paleo and vegan. It's like, I thought you're you're like pro meat. Why are you, like it's all about money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Iron, people say, well, there's iron in vegetables. There is, but it's not very bioavailable.
Right.
And a lot of the various vitamins and even protein in vegetables.
All right. Iron is not bioavailable. Have you got something to add to this?
Yeah, well, Patrick, I was actually going to ask you, can you break down this bioavailable claim, right? Because I have an idea of how I would break it down, but I trust your expertise a little better. Can you break that down a little bit?
So there's some common thought that the iron, non-heme iron, is less bioavailable, but diet is so complex and there's so many factors which can increase the bioavailability, such as when you're eating vitamin C, is it? I think that increases the availability and
Yeah, vitamin C. Yeah, vitamin C, I think. Yeah.
And overall, it's best to just look at populations of vegans. Are they deficient? Are they consistently deficient in iron? And there's I've got like a whole document with just looking at the nutrient status of different minerals and vitamins in vegans compared to omnivores. And it doesn't seem like there's, when you look at the reference range and you take the vegan group, it looks like, for example, I was looking at a study from Switzerland, and the iron of vegans, it's within the reference range for iron where it needs to be. And so you've got so many factors which it can increase the absorption. And I'm not sure, I think I'll need to double check this, but I think perhaps the iron content, non-heme iron, is higher compared to the heme iron content in animal-based food. So that is an extra factor to take in.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Commonly you get quite a lot of non-heme iron, but I'm not double sure on this one. I need to double check, but you've got so many factors which can increase the absorption. And I did my blood test during a couple months ago, and my iron was actually borderline high. So
yeah, because there's so many fortified foods too. Like the way that I always break it down is like, I don't care if it's 1-to-1, right? So like people always point out vitamin A, right? How we convert beta carotene into vitamin A. It's like, okay, there's for a lot of like I know for omega-3s, for vitamin A, there seems to be a conversion ratio, right? Where we consume, let's say we consume, I think like for vitamin A, it's like 12-to-1 or 7-to-1 or something, whatever, right? I don't really care about the conversion ratio. I just care about, can I get it? And I think when they use this word bioavailable to fearmonger, they're like, oh, you're not going to get all of the iron that you consume because of the anti-nutrients preventing the absorption. It's like, okay, but do I get enough? Right? Like if I eat 300% of my iron for the day, do I still get enough iron? And if the answer is yes, who cares? And even then, like, just take a sub. Like, let's just say you don't want to eat any foods that are high in iron. You don't want to eat any fortified foods. Take a supplement. Like, take a supplement. These supplements were invented long before vegans. They are important for elderly populations. They're important for people who, for a lot of different, they were invented for a lot of different use cases, not vegans. Just take a supplement.
And anyone can be deficient in iron. Actually, I know a few meat eaters, and a few female meat eaters, and they have to go to the hospital and get iron infusions. So anyone can be at risk. And I haven't seen any sort of evidence to suggest vegans are more at risk than other groups.
Yeah, no, me neither.
When I say vegans, I mean people following exclusively plant-based diets.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any good evidence to suggest. And even if there was, for example, an increase in risk, or vegans need to eat a little bit more iron due to the difference in bioavailability, it would still be the correct thing to do, rather than eat an animal or pay for an animal to be killed.
100%. Like, as long as there's a workaround, right? Because I love this. So since I've been doing the carnivore reaction videos, what happens in the algorithm? So the video starts off getting okay views. And then once the carnivore community picks it up, it jumps in views, right? Because they're all like binging it, commenting, whatever. And the best thing is they'll say, oh, your diet is full of oxalates. It's going to kill you or something. And I say, okay, provide me some evidence. They link a study. I don't know if you've seen this, but they link a study reviewing oxalates in plant foods. And it literally says, like line for line in the study, based on this research or based on this whatever, not line, I'm paraphrasing, but based on this evidence, it is important to not overconsume oxalates, and actually a balanced diet with oxalate-rich plant foods may have more benefits than like detriments or something, right? So it literally says something like along the lines of, even though some of these plant foods do have a high oxalate content, the benefits of consuming them outweigh the like potential harms of the oxalate content. And if it's a concern, just eat less. And it like literally says that in the study. So there is no reason, following a plant-based diet does not necessitate a high oxalate diet or something like, and the research doesn't support like oxalates damaging us more than like the plant foods are benefiting us, if that makes sense. It's just fear-mongering. It's just fear-mongering. That's all it is.
So it's important to look at overall health outcomes. And for example, in the long-term cohorts, people following more, higher adherence to more plant-based, healthful plant-based dietary patterns, they have lower risk of chronic kidney disease. And so this is not compatible with oxalates. Potentially, if someone was only eating raw spinach, it could be a problem.
Right.
But I haven't seen any sort of evidence to suggest that. Just zooming in on these individual compounds and then just saying because this food has this compound in it, you should just look at what's going on when people are eating it. Are they healthy? Rather than just creating all these mechanisms which often don't pan out in reality.
100%. It's like saying that fruit is bad for you because it has sugar, and avoiding the fact that there's fiber, avoiding the fact that the health outcomes are better when people eat more fruits. Like, yeah, it's really, really misleading and just fear mongering. That's all it is. When like Joe Rogan's saying bioavailability, who cares, man? Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, and a lot of these compounds, actually, when they're isolated, they're actually beneficial. For example, phytic acid, which a lot of carnivores, they say phytic acid. Dave Asprey, he says it leaches minerals from your bones, even though it doesn't do that. It's just, a lot of these, there's a few studies I've seen where they give phytic acid supplements to people with type 2 diabetes, and it improves some of their parameters related to diabetes, such as HbA1c. So some of these isolated compounds, which are called anti-nutrients, they might actually have therapeutic properties.
And that's like the funniest part of it all. Yeah. It's like once you actually start diving into the evidence, like almost the exact opposite of what these people are saying is true. And it's, really disappointing.
It's not very bioavailable in most sources.
And it's how your body absorbs those nutrients as well. Like it might be rich in that substance, but your body can't really absorb it.
Well, it's just everybody's body's different. I mean,
I think before he mentioned protein, so he said iron, and we skipped that bit. But he also talked about bioavailability of protein, and again, look at the health outcomes. Can vegans get enough protein, muscle, and strength gains? People following exclusively plant-based diets. Yes, there's like 4 or 5 randomized controlled trials in young adults, and then also you have long-term observational studies, which more plant protein, more beneficial for healthful aging.
Mm-hmm.
That was a recent one, which Dr. Nagra, he made a reel on the Nurses' Health study, looking at protein intake compared to aging, and they found that those consuming more plant protein instead of animal protein had greater odds of improved aging related to things such as physical function limitations. So this term bioavailability, it doesn't seem to really mean much when you're
it's just gibberish. And also, when was the last time someone was protein deficient? Like when I was a kid, let me tell you what I ate as a kid. Okay, I ate Cap'n Crunch for breakfast. Then I had like fries and like McDonald's chicken nuggets. And then I had some other kind of processed food for dinner or something. When was the last time, like, I wasn't protein deficient, right? I feel like the only time you see protein deficiency is when you have a deficiency in calories, right? Usually if you're eating enough calories, you'll get enough protein, just like by accident, unless all you're eating is Oreos, right? But if you're eating junk food, it's really hard to be protein deficient in a first world country where you get enough food.
It's very rare. There's some conditions with protein deficiency. It's like, I think it's kwashiorkor, it's called, maybe, or there's some people they get it's called an edema, where their body swells up from the retention of fluid when they're protein deficient. So that's the true, there's conditions related to protein deficiency. Well, whilst it could be nice for extra benefits to aim for more protein, actual pure, clinical protein deficiency is very rare.
Super rare, right? So again, it's like fear-mongering, like, oh, you may not get enough protein if you're eating plants. When was the last time anybody was like you said, clinically protein deficient? It's super rare, especially in the US.
So just to see some few points from the audience. Ringcash says onion and garlic increases non-human iron absorption as well. Yeah, I think I've seen that as well. I don't really cook too much with onion and garlic. It takes too much time, but when I'm making a sauce, it's a good base. Onion and garlic is a good base to a sauce. Do you cook with onion and garlic?
Not really. I've been cooking a lentil soup for dinner, and I think I do onion. I do onion. So I do use onions, but yeah, no garlic.
And here, I love oxalates. Vitamin C for iron absorption. We touched upon that one. That's a good point. The body can't regulate heme iron by Stephen of Earth, which can cause oxidation. There's some sort of discussion that potentially heme iron could be negative on health outcomes as well. It's kind of difficult to isolate specific compounds in food, but when people think about, for example, red meat, why could it be consistently associated with detrimental outcomes at higher doses? There's some talk that it could potentially be the heme iron saturated fat, because there's studies which are just for saturated fat, and there's still negative associations of red meat. So that's a potential explanation or a potential, something which could be worth investigating further. And then, people look at one mechanism and then judge the food or compound based on that. But there's so many mechanisms. You've got to look at the summation of the mechanisms, which would be, the outcome pretty much. Yeah, and this is where all the seed oils people go. They all just look at one mechanism based on arachidonic acid, that it could increase inflammation. And they don't really realize that the pathway is tightly regulated. And even if you eat more seed oils in the literature, in the epidemiology, it doesn't increase inflammation. And this is where this whole myth came from.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Nutrition Made Simple, he's got a great video on this, on this topic.
Okay, cool.
And then it's called Reductionism. I found vegan protein Oreos with extra gluten.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I've tried, I've got some at my local Lidl, or sort of similar flavor protein shake made from, I think it's a blend, protein blend. A little bit too sweet, this protein shake I had from Lidl. Check out the book While by T. Colin Campbell. Haven't seen it, haven't read it. Whole by Dr. T. Colin Campbell. And then, Vegan Power Lab says no onion and garlic. Blasphemy. Let's keep on going. Oh, yeah.
Just that is an absolute fact, that there's some people that can eat certain diets and be very healthy, and then other people eat them and they have a really hard time with them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that most of these people that are talking.
So this seems a little bit of, again, I don't agree with this point, because there's been studies which have looked at personalized nutrition, and it's been a pretty big disappointment so far in terms of personalized nutrition. And in general, there's a general theme in nutrition science that more plants is generally healthier. So this seems, well, when people say this to the public, such as, it depends on the individual, for me, it's a little bit dangerous, because the public want to hear what they secretly want to hear.
Yeah.
And
that's what the guidelines are for, right? We made nutritional guidelines are based on like the science and what you said, like the theme throughout the science, right? They don't recommend higher consumption of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables because it only works for some people, right? That would defeat the purpose of the guidelines, right? So yeah, it's more vague, muddy. They're just trying to muddy the waters. Oh, like they want people to hear in the back of their head, oh, well, bioavailability, one size doesn't fit all, like they want to hear these things. And it goes back to the vagueness, right? If he said, well, some people have certain food intolerances, right? Okay, that's a fair statement, right? Some people, maybe certain foods don't sit that well with them, or certain whatever. But higher consumption of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, regardless of the ones that you choose, are going to be beneficial for your health. If you can't eat spinach, don't eat spinach. Eat kale, eat broccoli, eat something.
Yeah, there's some individual variability, such as some people can have an intolerance to a specific component, or like some people can have a fructose intolerance. But generally, it's the same theme: more plant protein, more fiber, less saturated fat.
100%.
They try and muddy the water by making it seem to the public that potentially, you can just put butter in your coffee, and that's because you feel good.
Right, like whole grains and fruits and vegetables work for some people, but for you, you need some butter in your coffee. That's what works for you. Yeah, please give me a break.
Talking about how healthy and how great they feel, there's a lot of it is sort of a placebo effect, and they're not getting blood work done. Everyone, regardless of what your diet is, you should get blood work done just to find out if you have any potential problems that are on the horizon. Because there's a lot of times you'll feel okay, and then you get your blood work done, and the doctor will tell you, hey man, you're really low in vitamin B and D and A, and you need this and that, and this is the health consequences of not having this stuff in your diet. And if you are committed to a vegan diet, there's ways that you can supplement. And this is my advice to people. If you want to supplement, first of all, algae is a great one. It tastes like shit, but it's very good for your body. And you just add it to smoothies, just add it with coconut milk or a bunch of other things.
Pause it.
You can do it. You definitely can eat it.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, with this algae thing, like he said, if you want to supplement, he talked about the individual components being deficient in B12 or D or whatever, and then says, if you want to supplement, I recommend algae. For what? What is algae going to fill in? Like, is there we don't even know if algae has B12. He didn't provide evidence for that. So yeah, that's just weird. That's not right.
Much better advice would be, just take a multivitamin, fortified foods.
And I was going to say also, what's ironic here that he's calling it the placebo effect. With carnivore dieters, I would say that is closer, or that could be a better example of placebo, because their diet literally goes against most, if not all, of the research we have on nutrition, and yet they're claiming that they are healthier and feel healthier. They have no long-term health outcomes. And then when they get their blood work done, their LDL is like 400, right? Or 300, whatever it is. And then they deny the blood. They deny the association with LDL. So it's just so funny how he's saying, oh, it's important to get blood work, make sure you get blood work. But if you don't believe the results of your blood work, or you don't care anyway, then what's the point?
Yeah, there was a famous lipidologist on Twitter today. He shared one of his patients was following the carnivore diet, and they had cholesterol building up in their eyelids, and
oh my
it's crazy.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, you can get cholesterol crystals, and it's insane. And yeah, Joe Rogan said that coconut milk. Yeah, I don't drink coconut milk. I go for soy milk. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I think unless you're drinking coconut milk or for a specific taste preference or a treat or something, coconut milk is not going to be the way to go. Coconut anything, really. Yeah, I think that was also another fad that is not helping people's health.
It could be nice if you like it, and maybe a splash in a coffee or your tea if you drink tea with milk. But yeah, or if you like it, of course. But soy milk is probably, it's definitely the best one. And then, have you got anything else to add? You're a soy milk fan?
Oh, 100%. I only drink soy milk. Yeah, I think people who drink almond milk or any other milk are just missing out on 7 grams of protein. Almond milk is 1 or 2 grams of protein. Soy milk has 8. So per serving. So it's protein isn't everything, but that's a really easy way to get some extra protein. And yeah, I think soy milk tastes the best. I'm a huge soy boy. I am the biggest soy boy on the planet.
Nice, yeah. And there's some thought that I was listening to someone, and they said that in terms of the nutritional value you're getting from oat milk, it's great that if you get it, if it's fortified, but it's probably better that you just eat, oats, because the package of the oats, it's got an environmental impact as well. And the other plants' milk, they're in terms of the nutritional value and what you're getting in terms of the benefit. For example, it might be better to get, have a handful of almonds instead of buying almond milk, unless of course you really like it and it's the way you get your calcium and your iodine, B12. And you cannot give it up. You can mitigate your environmental impact in other ways, of course. But in terms of, soy milk is just the best one. Yeah.
I agree.
Almond milk is white water.
Oh my God. So true. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know how people do anything other than soy milk. I don't know. Oat milk I do hear is good, but oat milk, again, it's soy is so high in protein. So many benefits of soy. I can't imagine drinking an oat water, like, like oats. Like, I'd rather just eat oatmeal. In fact, I put soy milk in my oatmeal, so it's double the benefit. Like, why would you do oat milk with your oatmeal?
Oat milk for me tastes very nice though, because it's sweet, and when you break down the oats, it releases some sugar, so it's a little bit sweet. But yeah, maybe they should start adding protein powder or in the oat milk.
No, ultra processed. That's like another tier. We can't have that.
Yeah, but pea milk might make the round soon. I've seen pea milk in some shops, and that's not bad in protein as well.
They better market that well, because just saying pea milk does not roll off the tongue. So they got to call it something else. They should call it like green milk or something like less weird sounding.
Vegan diet and be healthy, but you got to be on the ball.
Yeah.
And the B12 one is a big one. It's a massive amounts. I was reading some crazy article the other day. It said something like 90% of all vegans are B12 deficient.
I've heard this. I'm not an expert, but I've been reading
terrible.
about it. Yeah.
So unfortunately, we cannot check what the source is that he's citing. But like, I would assume if this article exists and he's actually citing something, then there'll be a study based on the population. He said vegetarian, right?
I know he said 90% of vegans are B12 deficient.
90% of vegans, but I'll be interested to see if they supplemented, because the other papers I've got is the other papers I've seen is that in a lot of studies, vegans actually have higher B12 status in those appropriately supplementing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just saw some kind of headline and just went like, I wouldn't be surprised if he just made that up, to be honest. Like, honestly, like, I wouldn't put it past people they think they see something, or it might have said like, vegans, be careful, B12 or something. And now he's just like making his own figure based on a headline. Like, people say like some crazy stuff. But also, one thing to touch on, he said, you got to be on the ball. You have to be on the ball with any diet. You do carnivore, guess what? You can't eat the pizza. You can't eat the fries. You can't eat all of the food in the right. Like, you got to be on the ball with any diet. It's going to take effort. It's going to take some time. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to go out of your way. It has nothing to do with plant-based diets.
Yeah, I'm looking at the articles online, and yeah, the one I can find it says vegans and vegetarians 90% are deficient. But again, we have much better evidence that it's probable, or it's possible that this population weren't supplementing that they're looking at, and it's possible that this was just a population which was not supplementing, and that's why they had these low levels. Yeah. But generally, as long as you're supplementing, and then get your blood work done, I think we agree with this point from Joe that if it's possible and you've got the opportunity, get your blood work done just to check to see if there's specific nutrient that you're low on.
I agree.
It's terrible. There's a guy named Chris Kresser that I've had on my podcast before, who's a brilliant guy who he's an expert in diet nutrition, who started out as a macrobiotic vegan and had
I'd like to add that this Chris Kresser, anyone interested, they should watch. He did a debate on the Joe Rogan podcast with
Wilkes.
Who's the guy? Yeah,
Peter Wilkes or something.
Wilkes,
or is it Jamie? Jamie
yeah.
Wilkes, something. Yeah, I don't remember
James
his first name.
Wilkes, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Is it James or Jamie? And yeah, it was completely brutal.
Yeah. No, Chris Kresser is not an expert in nutrition, clearly.
Yeah, I don't know what macrobiotic vegan means.
I don't know either. I don't know. That's interesting. Macrobiotic. I don't know.
But yeah. Let's keep them going.
Massive health problems, and then switched to eating meat eventually, and then really became a connoisseur of organ meat, which is like.
So this is a general theme we see, is that among the the ex-vegans or ex-plant-based dieters, is that they go on an extreme diet, low in calories, don't supplement, just so easy, and then they just become anti-vegan and
start eating liver.
Diets.
Yeah, start eating liver. Yeah, I don't get it.
And there's some cases of toxicity of vitamin A. Vitamin A has never been. I have not seen any cases of vitamin A toxicity of people eating plants, but vitamin A in liver is very high.
Yeah, well, it's preformed, right? It's in the form of retinol. So that is where you can get hypervitaminosis. But in the beta carotene, or like in the non-preformed, there's no risk because you have to convert it. Your body converts what it needs. Can you give me 1 second, Patrick? I got to run to the bathroom really quick. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Thank you.
So we have Vegan Power Lab saying, I was B12 deficient before being vegan. Same here by Ring Kach. Same, I was B12 deficient before becoming vegan. It's possible because you don't know how much B12 you're getting from if you're not supplementing. And yeah, it's generally recommended to supplement just to make sure you have enough. So glad you guys are getting your blood tests as well and checking your status for everything. That's good. Were you two deficient in anything else before being vegan? Interested to hear. Right here. Rogan sells supplements. Of course. Financial interests. Potato milk. That's an interesting one. I've not heard of potato milk. Potato protein, when isolated, is really good. It's so far the isolated protein with the highest leucine content, even higher than whey, actually. So all those people saying, whey's got the highest leucine content, just tell them, isolated potato protein has an even higher leucine content. Actually, corn. No, I mixed it up. Corn has the highest leucine content. Yeah, I did a reel on this recently. Sure, I've got that one right. Corn, it has the highest leucine content, but isolated potato has a really good amino acid profile. And potato protein, it's got a good amino acid profile. That corn is interesting. Can it be a milk form though? I guess if you isolated corn protein, you can make shakes with it. So there could be some sort of corn protein. But yeah, back to what I said earlier, corn is the one with the highest leucine content. Yeah, I was a bit too fast and said potato, but potato has a full amino acid profile. And we might see some good milks going on in the future. But my headphones are running out of battery, so I'm gonna plug in my earphones.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Huh?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'll just go for my laptop speaker. All right, we're almost there. Is oat milk good for the male body? I don't see why it wouldn't be. Pretty much any foods can be part of a health promoting diet.
Is this?
Like,
I was gonna say, is this sarcasm or is this like a genuine question? I can't tell because But if it's genuine, yeah, I don't see why. I agree with Patrick.
It might be harder to get your protein requirements if you're only drinking, if you're substituting soy milk instead of oat milk, or if you're only doing a diet based on oat milk. Because there was one study in the literature looking at a guy who was only drinking soy milk. That was like, well, not only drinking, but he was drinking extreme amounts of soy milk per day. And this is a lot. There's a common myth as well that soy lowers your testosterone. And this is based on, well, a lot of speculation based on isoflavones. And there's a couple of case studies. And in these case studies, people had very unusual diets.
Well, that study about the soy milk, it's funny you mentioned that because I had a carnivore commenter link that to me. and said, look, soy is I said, show me a study, send me that. I don't know if you read that study all the way through, but not only was he drinking over a liter of soy milk every day for 3 years. So every single day for 3 years, over a liter of soy milk. But do you know what else he was doing? He was restricting his carbohydrate intake. So right in the study, it says for 3 years, he drank over a liter of soy milk a day, but it was also restricting his carbohydrate intake. And that's the thing is with these case studies, they don't control for things like that, right? There wasn't just one variable. There were probably multiple, including the lack of the low carbohydrates. So that could have led to his drop in testosterone or whatever issues he had in that study. It's just so funny how like people that link these studies thinking they're going to debunk like plant-based diets, they don't even read them. They don't read all the way through.
Yeah, very good point. Someone could just be starving themselves and having, a liter of any type of milk, and then just attribute that to the milk, when in fact it's the lack of calories dropping their testosterone.
100%.
So the case studies are literally the lowest form of evidence, and there's a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials where it was probably the latest one, and from, I think it was 2019 maybe, and it found that soy had no effect on hormone status, so in men, and looking at randomized controlled trials. So Vegan Postmortem is saying the latest study of a young guy who's eating an exuberant amount of soy, but also there's no mention of how many calories he ate and what his weight was. So far, I've seen 2 case studies which have been driving this sort of carnivore narrative that, soy lowers your testosterone. But
dude, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have been drinking at least 2 cups of soy milk every single day for the last 7 years. So when I went vegan, I switched out regular milk for soy milk, and I have never not drank milk a day in my life, because I eat it with breakfast, whether it was cereal, whether it was oatmeal. So if we're going to talk about anecdotes, 7 years, much longer than 7 years of 2 cups or more of soy milk every day, everything's fine on my end. I don't have low testosterone, I won't go into detail, but everything seems to be working well. I'm not losing muscle mass, I'm still engaged, so everything seems to be good. So I don't know.
Yeah, same here. For the last 4 years, I've been having at least a block of tofu per day, if not plus soy milk or soy flakes. And potentially I'm eating a lot more soy than most people. And my testosterone has marginally gone up.
Right. That's the thing, dude. Like, you could point to anecdotes to show anything. It's just ridiculous.
But if anyone is particularly worried about, the estrogen content of the milk, if they don't want to look at health outcomes, switching for a plant-based milk might be the option, because plant-based milks don't actually contain estrogen, unlike cow's milk. Okay, so let's keep on going. We're almost there.
Like probably the most nutrient dense food in the world.
I love, that's my favorite thing about hunting is the organ meat.
Me too, man. I love liver
and the heart. I went hunting and I came back and I brought the heart into the restaurant for the guys because I wanted to, share with them like the experience of eating like fresh killed. Like the heart was still warm when I brought it to work. And the way I like to eat is either tartare, like just mince it up raw, or cook it like a steak. So I cut it, horizontally into like, it looks like a tenderloin steak. And we all got like this like buzz, like we just like shot a double espresso or something. It was just like, whoa. And it's like, it's so nutrient rich, the organ meat.
Wow. Just,
So I'll stop sharing my screen. Next video started. But onto the organ meats. They talk about this nutrient density, right? And
as if it's a drug.
As if nutrient density really matters. What matters is health outcomes. And if you're eating too much of a specific nutrient, it can cause toxicity, as in some cases of people eating liver. So it's not like the more of a nutrient you eat, or the better the health outcomes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's say you had a food that had 100% of every single nutrient you needed. But if you ate it, it would poison you, right? If you ate it, it would slowly poison you over 2 weeks or something, right? Something crazy. Would you still care about the nutrient density, right? No, of course not, right? It's about what's packaged with the food, right? If in a steak you have a lot of vitamins and minerals, but you also have a high saturated fat content, which is going to increase your LDL, which is going to put you at risk long-term for heart disease, then who cares? What's the point when you could get those nutrients elsewhere?
Yes, like if you got pure cyanide and laced it with nutrients.
Right. And that's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was also going to say, like, I'm fine, but there's a part of me that's like, I can sit with somebody being like, you know what? I feel bad. You know, it's not like the flesh, like it's not cool, but I do it for my health, right? I could sit well with like somebody being really uneducated. What I can't sit well with, what really bothers me, is when people are like, and I brought in the heart and it was so warm, and they're like, it was bloody, and you like gotta eat the like with no empathy, like no connection between like they're holding somebody's beating heart that they have in their own chest. Like there's no connection there. I don't get that. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, we need to run name the trait on them.
Yeah, like, hey, if your buddy brought in a human heart, would you be as thrilled? Would you be like, oh my God, I'm gonna get high off the nutrient density?
Yeah, I just had the double espresso.
Oh my God, yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst.
But yeah, I think we, Vegan Postmortem here saying maybe these people are in a cult.
Oh yeah, sounds closer to a religion. Their thing sounds closer to religion than our thing.
All right, guys, thanks for all tuning in. We finished that one. And yeah, perhaps we might start doing more reactions going forward. If you guys enjoy this comment, let us know.
Yes,
if you enjoyed
please.
this content. Yeah. And,
That was awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. And see you soon for another episode in the show.
Thank you, everybody.